part 3 of substitution, we're going to tackle some more difficult problems. Just a reminder of what we did in part 2. We looked at an expression with two variables, x and y, indices, and we tackled y being a negative number. We had to deal with BIDMAS and multiplying and adding negative numbers. So, let's go again. We're going to try and really hit home the issue of indices in this video and negative numbers, because I'm going to give you x being negative 3 and y being negative 2. If you try and do this problem in your head, you will struggle. You need to step things out carefully on a piece of paper, and even the best mathematicians will. So it is not a criticism of you, it is just the right way to do it. So step 1, write out the meaning of what you have. So what does x squared mean? It means x multiplied by x. What does 2y squared mean? It means 2 multiplied by y multiplied by y. Add to it x multiplied by x multiplied by x. And then subtract 2 multiplied by x multiplied by y multiplied by y. Now, let me just check. X cubed. There it is. The second one also causes people problems. Can you see here? There's no indices written next to the x. That means it's just a single x. A squared being on the y means the y has been squared. If you wanted both to be squared, you could write 2x squared y squared, or you could write 2xy squared. That's why we have just one x and we have two y's. So 5 multiplied by minus 3, because that's our value of x, multiplied by minus 3. Subtract 2 lots of minus 2 times minus 2. Add minus 3 times minus 3 times minus 3. Minus 2 times minus 3 times minus 2 times minus 2. Now I'll show you a shorthand for this at the end of the topic, but for now I think it's useful to write it out longhand. You're not going to get powers much higher than a 3 in these kind of situations. So you're not going to have to write strings and strings and strings. This is about as long as you'll get. Now, remember BIDMAS, we do multiplying and dividing first. So, we're going to tackle that bit first. We're going to tackle this bit next. We're then going to tackle the end bit. You can see I've taken out the in-between adds and subtracts that were originally here. So let's start by doing some multiplying. And there isn't a right or wrong way to do this, but I would advise you to tackle the negatives first. So -3 times -3. That's 9. So I'm going to do 5 times 9 afterwards. Subtract. That carries on down. -2 times -2 is 4. So it's 2 times 4. I could have worked both of these out, but I chose to do it in stages because that reduces the chance I make an error. Bring the add down for next time. -3 times -3. Well, that's 9. I'm going to write the multiply by 3 down afterwards and deal with it next, like I've done here and here. Lots to do here. It wouldn't matter if I picked that pair of negatives first or that pair. But I tell you what, I'm going to multiply those two pairs. So 2 times -3 is -6, multiplied by -2 times -2, which is 4. I could show you this same question doing it several different ways. For example, I could have done 5 times -3 and got -15 here, and then written times by -3 afterwards. Or I could have multiplied all 3 terms together and just put the answer down here. As long as you follow the rules for negative numbers, you'll be fine. But my advice is, do the negatives first, and then do one step at a time if you can. So, let's get to work. 5 times 9 is 45. Subtract 8. Add -27. Subtract -24. Still more work to do, but with each stage and each set of steps you're giving yourself the opportunity to check your working. So 45 take away 8 I'm happy to do in a second. What happens if I add -27? So what happens if I add 27? If I add 27, the number increases. So if I add -27, the number is going to decrease. So that's subtract 27. Let's do the same here. Subtract -24. Well, what happens if I subtract 24? If I subtract 24, the number goes down. If I subtract negative 24, then the number must go up. So that becomes add 24. This method of comparing the sum with the negative to the normal sum is highly useful. Okay, now we're in a position to do our calculations. 45 subtract 8 is 37. Take away 27, add 24. I'm doing this in stages just because right now my brain's tired after all this and I don't want to make a mistake. 37 take away 27 is 10. Now it's perfectly okay to bring this 24 over here as I need to. And so your answer is 34. Make sure you keep your equal signs lined up. Make sure you keep your symbols carried down if you can. You can see how the lines here hopefully have helped you to calculate and to check. Notice how we did one stage per line to make it easier. Notice how I did little diagrams to help me think about the negative numbers. In the next video, we're going to tackle the same situation, but we're going to introduce fractions to the problem.